Good evening, ladies and gents, or good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to another session of Living World of Darkness, Camarilla Venue, New York by night. And this evening's scene takes place in Ghost's Biker Bar in Harlem, and we open our scene with Lady Sheridan approaching from the outside. She finds several motorcycles and parked up on the outside, and an array of undesirables standing around, drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and watching the passers-by.
Lady Sheridan pays very little attention to any of these undesirables and just walks straight past them and into the bar.
She gets quite a lot of catcalls and whistles and that sort of thing, but I'm sure she's used to that.
Yep.
Especially in the outway when she goes outside wearing an outfit like that.
Yep.
And when she gets to the door, there's a couple of bouncers there who see her and let her in immediately. They don't pat her down, they don't question her. They know who she is, and they know not to interfere with her, and they stand aside and let her in. And it's not massively busy inside. It's busy enough, but it's quite early on in the evening, and you've got a clear view of everyone in the bar, and you can see Ghost sat at the end of the bar talking to Billy the inept bodyguard.
Lady Sheridan is going to head in the direction of Ghost. She's going to stroll rather than her usual strut to give Ghost time to finish up whatever she's talking about, because she doesn't want to interrupt the conversation, but she doesn't want to look like she's waiting around either, so more kind of a saunter.
And Ghost's got her hair. She always has her hair different. It's medium length, and she has a bandana in it, much as pictured. And when she sees, or more or less hears, the sound of shoes on the hardened surface of the floor, in a familiar pattern, she tilts her head around the enormous Billy the inept bodyguard, who's around 6'7". And you see her head pop out and her eyebrows raise. And she gives you a very obvious sweeping glance up and down. And a smile spreads across her lips.
And Lady Sheridan will return the smile.
Billy turns around to see what Ghost is smiling at, and sort of guffaws befriendedly at you. He sort of looks at you with sort of a wide-eyed expression, as if he's not used to seeing you so.
He's been being my chauffeur lately. This might be more leather than he's used to, but it's definitely not more skin than he's seen.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. Well, he's finds the red leather perhaps a little bit more daring than some of your other attire. Perhaps you'd worn a coat before, or perhaps he just
Possible.
been polite enough not to look when he was in the front seat of the car. Either way, he sort of looks at you and closes his mouth, because it's wide open for a couple of seconds, and he's lost all track of what him and Ghost are talking about, so he just wanders off.
And she will just slide into the stool he was previously occupying.
Ghost, she's got a little tumbler of whiskey in her hand, and she's sort of rolling it around, and she cocks her head at you and smiles. What do I owe the immense pleasure, Lady Sheridan?
Well, I did tell you we have a new seneschal in town.
Straight to business. Ghost says, raising eyebrows and sighing, hoping that there might be at least some minor chit chat beforehand.
Oh, I'm quite happy to make small talk. You're the one who asked me exactly what I was doing here.
The fact that you're direct is what I like about you.
And it is one of many things that I appreciate about you.
If we're going to talk business, perhaps we should go to a more private area.
It seems wise.
She stands up and, leaving the glass on the table, heads not that far into a door, which leads up some stairs and into sort of like a lounge, private room, sort of couches and tables and that sort of thing. It's obviously meant for a private lap dancing room, but it can be used for a private audience.
And Lady Sheridan will make herself comfortable on one of the seats.
Ghost checks that the door is shut, and she makes sure that there's somebody posted outside the door so people don't suddenly burst in. And she sits down. She's go on, Seneschal?
Yes, by the name of Mr. Bagger.
Bagger. I haven't heard.
He's come from out of town.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure why, but that is the prince's prerogative.
Well, I'm guessing we're going to need a Seneschal sooner or later. So.
Definitely. I'm not sure quite how well suited he is to the job here, but that remains to be seen.
I'm going to roll perception empathy.
Go for it.
Not that my roll for this is great, but I might as well practice it. Oh, 3 successes.
Excellent. So you will pick up on the fact that she does not like Mr. Bagger.
Ghost sort of purses her lips a little bit. I take it you haven't grown fond of Mr. Bagger in your meeting.
I don't think he is a good match for the city.
And who do you think is a good match for the city? Ghost teases.
Well, that's beside the point.
I think it's exactly the point. Who do you think would do a better job?
Quite possibly. Quite possibly I think that I might do a better job, but then there are others that I think would do a better job than Mr. Bagger.
Oh dear, what has he done to offend you?
Well, he seems somewhat unbelieving about the variety of people that we have in this city. Because, of course, doubting Mr. Silas is always a great way to begin things. And he doesn't seem to, let's just say he is less respectful of his peers than I might like.
I see. Well, she puts her thumb over her lip. I don't really know. I haven't met the man myself. Can't really make any judgments.
Of course. Everyone needs to make their own opinion.
I mean, it's important that to make a good first impression, and he's, from what I've heard, doesn't appear to be doing so. But you know,
Have you spoken with Limey yet?
not yet. I'm actually hoping to catch him later on. Ghost looks at her watch. Um, but why?
Oh, I was just curious as to what his opinion was.
I don't know. I have to ask him. He's a pretty amiable guy, though. He's harder to offend than I am.
Yes.
And he's a little bit more polite than I am. I mean, if I thought the guy was an asshole, I'd tell him he was an asshole. So.
Yes. He's also male.
A what?
He is also male.
Yeah.
And, thus somewhat less likely to be given offence, let alone finding it.
Well, I prefer to live in a matriarchy, but that's just not the way that the Cameron seems to work. You can tell she's sort of half joking.
One of the best things about being what we are is that over time gender seems to matter less and less to one's capabilities.
Oh, yeah, to the capabilities, I mean, nothing to do with that, but just a little bit easier on the eye, I suppose. And on the conscience. Again, she's grinning at you. She's not quite taking the situation
And Lady
seriously.
Sheridan is quite happily smirking right back. Because as much as she considers this a serious, but a matter that is of some concern to her, it's not concerning enough that she feels it is a huge problem, just something that she's going to chip away at.
So, there's a new guy in town, we don't like him. Well, you don't like him. I don't know if I'm gonna like him yet. It's a safe bet to say if you don't like him, I probably won't.
It does seem probable. After all, so far, quite a few people don't seem to like him.
I don't really know what the protocol is, it's the prince that signs the seneschal, and
And it is entirely the prince's decision.
so if you want rid of him, we're gonna have to come up with a replacement.
Encourage the prince to change his mind.
Exactly.
He's interested in going to Yankee Stadium.
Some sort of baseball thing.
Yes, just across the river in the Bronx.
I see. Ghost is sort of lost as to where you're going with this. You want me to come with you to the stadium?
No, I have no intention of going to the Bronx. I'm sure you are as aware as I of the warnings about going there.
Yep.
And he has been warned as well.
So it's not my job to babysit him.
No, nor mine. All I'm saying is he may be a problem that removes himself.
All the best problems tend to do. Hmm. Did you find out what clan he is?
Not yet. I doubt it makes much difference.
Hmm.
My guess would be either Gangrel or Brugia.
Yeah, I smell the gangrel.
Certainly think so. But it is hard to tell. Anyone can be somewhat cowboy-esque if embraced in the right era.
True. But I've tended to find over the years that the stereotypes more or less are true.
There are always individuals that break them, but when you see one that seems to be a stereotype, you can be fairly sure that they will be from that clan, yes.
Mm. I wanted to go around telling everyone that was a Toreador. Or Tremere. I don't think it really worked out.
Yes, well, apparently my clanmate was so foolish as to think that the new Ravnos in town was a Ventru.
Oh.
I was quite amused when I heard that. Mr. Rossi does seem to be turning into quite a handful.
Ah, fucking Wall Street, man. I just think he's a bit of an idiot. Yeah.
Yes.
Whoever embraced him obviously didn't do a very good job of teaching him how to be a proper venturer. I'm guessing that's the thing.
Yes, well, apparently he was embraced very, very shortly before coming here.
It shows.
It does. And I'm doing my best to address the matter such as I can. I mean, he has been released, so he is free to make his own decisions. So there's only so much I can do.
The thing that worries me is that him. She clicks her fingers if she's trying to remember.
The
Isabel and
Gangrel and the Malkavian, yes.
yeah, they're all living in the house together like a little nest.
The Ravnos has joined their coterie as well.
He's living in that house.
I don't know if he's living there, but he said that he'd joined their coterie.
Fuck's sake.
Yes.
Well,
All three of them seem like they could use an improved education.
perhaps we could get them together this evening. Give them a little lesson.
I'm not sure how well they will take the lessons. After all, you can, to an extent, only teach someone who is willing to learn.
Well, yeah.
To an extent. There are, of course, ways that you can encourage those who are less than studious to pay a bit more attention, but that would rather defeat the point.
I say we just line them all across this banking bench and give them what for till they learn their lesson.
Well, it's quite possible.
I
do have one that's large enough for the three of them.
I'm just getting bored with all these baby vampires that need like looking after. It's like herding cats.
Honestly, I was not nearly so bad at their age.
Neither was I. I was half on fire. So
I'm doing my best, but as I said, there's only so much that I can do.
I think the diplomatic approach needs to sort of fall away to the getting punched in the face approach.
The thing is, as yet, they haven't done anything that's actually wrong so much as unwise.
Yeah, well, it's better to be cruel to be kind. We don't want them fucking up entirely for an Archon or something.
That's true. Do you think I should ask them here?
Yeah, why not? And I'm not really doing anything. I'm just waiting around for Slimy to get his ass in gear. So.
Out of character, I'm going to try and contact them. So.
And during this time, Ghost just talks about random stuff and stares at Lady Sheridan's breasts, probably.
Probably.
Probably. I'm gonna make a hilarious manipulated subterfuge roll to see whether I can cover my obvious glances. Not too badly. Not overtly obvious. Just filling time here while Deborah messages people. Yes, please.
Right, Kitty says she's free. Not sure about David and Bryce, but I've sent Kitty the link.
Good.
We'll see who shows up in the next in the next 5 minutes.
Alright. Well.
But either way, it will take time for the little baby vamps to get there in character, so we can continue talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's sort of worth just making the point very clear to them, because they seem a little bit hazy on general day-to-day things about being in vampire society that are important, like etiquette and
Etiquette is rather more important than people tend to give it credit for.
Oh yeah, and you're talking to a Bruja here. I know more about etiquette than most Toreador do.
After all, etiquette is what people use in order to avoid tearing each other's arms off.
I've literally seen that happen. I've seen someone had their arms being torn off and beaten with them. It was hilarious and messy.
I can quite imagine.
When you attend Mistress's court, you really have to be on your A game. So.
Just to, Bryce, your little coterie has been contacted by Sheridan and invited along to Ghost's Biker Bar. So at some point, whether together or separately, you might arrive.
I just noticed it was live, so I didn't want to come in and start talking.
Yep, that's okay.
That's alright. Are you gonna enter with those guys, or are you gonna enter on your own?
Well, as they're not here yet, I'll probably enter on my own. I'm just going to order dinner really quick, and then I'll be right in.
Okay.
So you see, Ghost leans over and looks through. The window behind her is you can see out of it but not in. It's that kind of glass, and you can see down into the bar. You can look down on the dancers below and the bar area and the front door. And the security seems to have taken up a little bit more of a formation now about the place. People are kept well away from the door.
So, what exactly do you propose as a step up from diplomacy? I assume that the spanking bench was intended as a joke. As much
Well,
as
yeah.
it is entirely doable, I doubt it will have quite the effect that we might want.
No, it's just anyway. I won't want to miss out on the fun. Might encourage me to be naughty more often.
Yes, and that would hardly solve anything.
Exactly. Don't want people making faux pas on purpose just to get a spanking. So we should.
I came into spankings.
Yes.
You did.
Sheridan and Ghost are chatting up in Ghost's room, Ghost's little private area in her bar, and Sheridan has contacted your little coterie to ask them to come by for a little chat.
Ah, okay. I will mute.
But either either of you guys just let me know when you want to come in. Sheridan and Ghost are just chatting right now.
Just kind of filling time until you guys arrive. Aha.
And David's here. We're still filling time. Yeah, what was I saying? Something about spanking.
You were saying that it would encourage you to be naughty more often rather than to behave better.
Exactly. You don't want that.
No, the last thing we want is one of the hounds being the problem.
Yes, exactly. So, we have a little chat with them. I think a very serious chat. A very serious chat. And if they're not getting the message, then perhaps a more aggressive approach is warranted.
Well, you are the hound. The only one that I have any jurisdiction over is their leader. But I will certainly back you up on this. It's very much something which I feel needs to be said.
Could actually do with Limey being here, seeing he's the harpy. Wonder where he's at.
It might seem more public that way, which would seem more like an attack.
Yeah, true.
But if they don't seem to get the message, we can certainly involve more people. And hopefully the little coterie will be arriving downstairs.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys hanging around near motorbikes outside, and some bouncers on the door.
They've been here before. It's the same setup as it always is. There's bouncers on the door. But there seems to be a little bit more of a formation to the security tonight for some reason. A couple extra security guards are stationed around. So,
Psst, Dave, that's your cue.
or not.
Right, so they're getting held up by the bouncers until David is ready.
Mm-hmm.
So while they're busy getting patted down by the bouncers,
Yeah.
we can kind of watch them through this one-way window.
Ghost says, I'd offer you a drink, but, particular.
Yes, but I appreciate the consideration.
She goes and, grabs the drink herself. But she seems to sort of grimace a little bit when she sips it. She's not really a fan of cold blood. But it's there, so she's gonna drink it.
You are a wonderful invention.
Seems to be a bit of a regular occurrence, me having little meetings up here in the strip club. Might have to make it a Elysium at some point. This rain.
Well, we certainly need one. There's been no sign of Mr. Peck as yet.
It sits down again and sort of heavily and puts her hands between her legs, sort of huffy motion. She shrugs her shoulders.
Is everything quite all right?
Yeah, just pissed off about the whole Mr. Peck thing still.
Yes, well, on the upside, does leave something of an opening, whether you consider that to be a positive or not, I suppose.
I don't really think we want openings. We're losing numbers as it is.
That's true. But we could give it to someone that might be able to do the job well, but with a little less tedium.
Mm. Yeah.
The sheriff did remarkably well with the gathering that he organised, going via the rave.
I miss all the parties around here.
Yes.
All working their playmates ghosted doll girl.
No. Well, then we shall have to get you some more play at some point.
She smirks a little bit. Leans back, looking towards the door where hopefully she may see Coterie emerging.
In 3, 2, 1.
And it's about that time that Celio will walk in. And first thing he does is he looks to the two that are already there and says, "Hello, it's good to see both of you again. Just sorry if I'm a little late. Parking was atrocious."
Thank you for coming, Mr. Rossi.
Of course.
Isabel will sort of slide in behind Celio and kind of stand off to the side a little bit and offer both Sheridan and Ghost a small smile and nod.
And Sheridan will nod back.
Where's your gang girlfriend? Ghost says, looking at you both.
And Isabel kind of glances over her shoulder towards the door. I don't know. He was right behind me.
Jason comes into the room looking a little gruff, being roughed up by security, not liking to be touched. Apparently having slightly more problems at the door than the other two. But once he walks in, he brightens up, puts on his smile, and says, Lady Sheridan, Ghost, it is nice to see you both.
A pleasure to see you again as well.
Please, guys, sit down. She displays her hand out and indicates to the comfy couches that you're all familiar with by now, or at least Celio and Isabel are. Jason hasn't seen this room before, but it's sort of a plush, private sitting room above the strip club. It's a little bit tacky, but
The kind of place that is usually used for lap dances.
yeah, but it's made for comfort. All the chairs are especially comfortable and repositionable, if you know what I mean.
So when you say take a seat, he just walks over and he sits down in the middle of one of the couches and drapes his arms over either side of it.
And Isabel's
Making a very relaxed pose.
Isabel take a spot on the couch and give Celio like appropriate space between them, of course. And she'll sort of lean back against the couch and wait for someone else to speak.
Jason will take a seat to the right, not sitting fully back in the chair, almost as if ready to spring out and make a dash for it. Always on edge, he seems to be. Though clearly somewhat relaxed compared to normal.
Well, Ghost looks towards Lady Sheridan to start the conversation. As the first word that comes to her mind is, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" And she doesn't think that's really a tactful way to start a discussion.
So, I hear that the three of you have been sharing a resting place for the day.
The three of us. She arched a brow.
And so just motion to Isabel and Jason saying, these two have?
Only until he gets a place of his own. Celio has his own place. We just tend to hang out at my house a lot.
I quite understand. And how are things going otherwise? I hear you added a Ravnos to your little gathering.
And she'll look to Celio for that.
Yes, it's been going pretty well so far. And he had some experience handling money, and I figured I could put some use to that.
Yes. Well, we'll see whether he quite lives up to the hype, but he does seem to have potential. She's going to glance over to Ghost because, let's face it, Ghost was the one who wanted to have a talk with them about stuff. But if she doesn't say anything, Sheridan will just continue.
Ghost leans forward and takes out a packet of cigarettes from her top pocket and taps one out on the table, puts it in her mouth and lights it. And she blows the smoke in no one direction in particular. She just sort of blows it in front of her and she says, "Listen, guys. it's occurred to me that some of you, all of you, you're new and you don't really know like some of the etiquettes. And she looks at Lady Sheridan. She's like, I don't know what I don't know the proper words for this. You don't know some of the ways of our lifestyle that come so accustomed to others. It's not really your fault, you're new. Sarah hasn't taught you anything, but what seem like small mishaps now could be really big fuck ups in the future, and I just want to make sure that you keep your mouths and your bodies and your hands and your other appendages in check in Elysiums in future. And attached. Your head's attached to your bodies are a good thing. Archons don't really have much of a sense of humour. Neither do most princes. Neither do most Ventru, with present company excluded. Especially the Toreador. They love an excuse to bitch about you behind your back. And it can lead to some awkward situations. So what I'm saying is, I think some brushing up needs to be done on etiquette. And I'm still talking. Do you understand what I mean? She stops and looks at the three of you.
Celine looks to Isabel because he remembers the joke that was going between her and Jason.
Isabel will just sort of offer a bit of a nod and say, I understand. And she'll sort of glance over at Jason for a moment and then back to the other two.
So,
As
Bryce
Ghost says, it's very much something that's not a problem now. It's very much something that you're not in trouble over. It's just, shall we say that we're a little concerned about your education. As relatively young kindred who haven't had the best, as far as I know, experience of their sires, I honestly don't know enough about you to know what your experience with your sires was like, but I believe Mr. Rossi told me that it was brief, and the Gangrel are not known for their maternal or paternal instincts. Our good sheriff excluded. So simply put, we are concerned, and we want you to be aware of this concern so that together we can avoid any potential pitfalls.
Only you can prevent forest fires. Ghost is putting a cigarette at you to try and make light of the very serious conversation.
Isabel will sort of nod to them. She'll say, look, both of you, I understand what you mean, trust me. But in private between Jason and I, it's sort of an inside joke. I would never ever say that if I were in front of Gangrel that I knew would be offended. I would only say such a thing to Jason. I would never say that to Mr. Green or any other Gangrel. Nor would I make Ventru jokes in front of other Ventru or whatever.
Well,
I know how to do that.
But it's not just the people that you are speaking to that you need to worry about. It's the ones that they may be speaking to.
The walls have ears.
And if it's misinterpreted, as it quite easily can be, and then passed on to someone else, as quite often happens, You could very well find yourself unpopular with the majority of the gangrel in the city very quickly.
The Bruges kind of have a reputation for being the mouthpiece. When it comes to Cameron affairs, we can sort of get away with being Bruges, but even we have to toe the chain, as it were, in Elysium, you know. I'm not going to be making any sort of jokes that I would make with Lady Sheridan in private in front of her peers in Elysium. It's a matter of respect and decorum. You know, I like to think that we're all good friends. She uses the word sort of loosely in this context. She doesn't know any of you, apart from Lady Sheridan, very well. But when we're in Elysium, when we're in a formal setting, you know, there's a time and a place. That's all I'm saying.
Noted, Isabel says, and sort of nods. Completely noted.
You know, if you need any help with the ins and outs of it, I'm sure me and Limey can give you a hand. He's the harpy after all. I don't know why I'm doing his job for him, the lazy bastard. But it's, you know, I'm concerned. I don't want to see anyone getting the rap, especially if we've got, you know, the brass in and they're like, why are young vampires so out of control? What are the Primogen doing about it? Blah blah blah. Shit runs downhill, and I don't want any shit to land on you. I'd rather us all to stay out of the shit. We've got enough shit. I've said shit too many times. You know what I mean.
Jason will stir from his seat a little bit and nod. I can definitely see where you're coming from. Etiquette is definitely not a strong point. Being a bar bouncer myself in my previous life, and not even getting the rules explained to me until I got to New York, as my sire made me and left. I didn't even know about sires, or even that there were vampires until I got here.
Yeah, we've all got mummy and daddy issues. But no, we have to look after each other. You know, we're a civilized society. She grins, leans back, looks around at the strip club. You know, you may be fur coat and no knickers outside, but on the inside you have to be, you know, pearls. Best front forward, all that sort of stuff. You know, I'm talking a lot. It's, you know, I'm having one of those days. Anyway, the thing is, just you got the point. You don't need me to reiterate the point to you. I'm just talking now. She shuts up and looks at Lady Sheridan.
Essentially, we want you to know that we are here, and that we will do our best to guide you if you allow us. And if you have any questions, then by all means, ask. It is better to ask questions than to learn from the mistakes after the fact.
Mm-hmm. I was in your shoes once, you know. My side didn't exactly leave me, yeah. My side was set on fire. But I had no idea what I was doing, and the Nosferatu took me under their wing and taught me a little bit. And I just want to extend that courtesy to you guys. She gives you a thumbs up.
Isabel sort of just smiles a little bit, and you can tell she's probably a little uncomfortable in a setting like this, but she kind of nods. She's like, oh, well, it's much appreciated. My Primogen has been doing as best as he can to give me lessons. She nods. But we have some business, so I can imagine Rick is quite busy at the moment. She nods.
I haven't actually met your new coterie member, but I'm sure we'll do at some point.
More than likely. I quite like Tobias. Kind of like a grandpa. She nods and kind of smiles. Very nice, very charming.
Wasn't Tobias at the gathering?
Yes,
he was, but Ghost wasn't.
Oh.
I seem to miss all the parties around here.
I'm
Not
sorry.
for
I'm
lack
still
of invitation.
No, I don't. I just get my head buried in the work, you know.
Yes.
Work. A lot of hard work. You know, that sort of thing. But yeah. That's it.
So I know this would really be a question more for my Primogen, Mr. Green, but I was thinking about finding a small gym on the outskirts of the city and opening it up. Would that be an acceptable thing to do? Setting up a safe room around there?
I think maybe you're better sticking to this sort of area of town. We don't know where the Sabbat are operating outside of the Manhattan area.
But speaking of a gym, I do know one that is being set up shortly.
Well, I'm looking forward to finding one, if not opening up my own. I like to work out, keep myself physically enabled. So
Well, you are more than welcome to make use of the gym that will be opening in the base of Ventura Tower.
Isn't that where we got offices, Celia? Or you got offices for us?
Yes, it is.
Excellent.
And interestingly enough, dear Tobias shall be assisting me with the accounting. Should he prove that he is capable.
Well, right now I was thinking of using him for my own bookkeeping, but
I'm sure he's quite capable of both.
yeah.
I doubt
he
he would have
do the extra work.
I doubt he would have offered his services if he thought that there would be a conflict of interests.
I'm sure of it.
And should you need a place to stay, Mr. Zardal? Oh, Verdal, there we go. Mr. Verdal. There will be apartments in the building.
And Isabel will sort of speak up. Actually, speaking of apartments, that reminds me. Ghost, do you know when I could get an appointment with Limey? You two seem to be rather close.
Oh well, yeah. He's a bit slippery customer to get hold of at the moment, but I'll pass along that you want to get in touch with him. I need to get in touch with him myself. He's not answering my bloody phone calls. But yeah, we can set something up. I'm sure.
And she smiles, and then she'll glance at her phone, and then she'll sort of nudge Celio, and say, Celio, Tobias is messaging us. He wants us to meet him.
So just goes, oh, yeah. Does he want to do that right now, or?
Apparently, he'd like us to meet with him as soon as possible. So, she shrugged. I don't know what that's about.
Well, yeah. Well, I said all I got to say, I think. She looks at Lady Sheridan.
I had a few things that I might want to discuss with Mr. Vardell, but otherwise, I think that I've said everything.
Good. Well, we can.
But it is nothing that cannot wait.
Exactly. We can adjourn for now.
Alright, well, it was a good meeting with both of you again, and with that, Celio will stand up.
Isabel will stand up shortly after and offer a smile and say, good talking to you both, and hope to see you again soon. And she'll start for the door.
Jason will stand up as well. Slight bow at the waist towards Lady Sheridan and then to Ghost. Thank you for inviting me. We'll have to get together again soon.
I very much hope so. I'd love to find out what other ideas you might have regarding businesses.
We'll have to talk. Maybe I can come up with something more original than a gym. I just knew it was a livelihood, even if small time, to help get me off my feet beyond what Celio is offering to pay me for working for him.
Well, I look forward to finding out more about your personal interests, and hopefully together we can set you up somewhere comfortable. Have a good evening, and I very much hope that Tobias does not want you for anything too unpleasant.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be anything unpleasant.
Splendid.
It's probably just business.
Ghost stands up and sees everyone to the door. Or at least the three. And gives you a little salute of goodbye.
Well, I think that went relatively well.
Once Celio and Jason and Isabel are out of the room, she closes the door and says, oh well, perhaps a spanking bench next time.
Yes, I'd severely doubt that we need much of an excuse for that.
I think we can end the scene there.